Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
In today's politics, it's not whether you win or lose, but how you place the blame. And here's another little bumper sticker that I saw the other day. We have enough youth. How about a fountain of smart? Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning on a Tuesday. Zeb at the Ranch. My, it's a nice day. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and God bless America on a Tuesday, September the 17th already. And I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And, of course, don't forget Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly at 734-6969. And now, my feed down the line this morning, Gina, is really crackly and gravelly and like that, and I just thought I'd ask you about that.
Everything sounds A-okay on my end. But
well, I'm the one that's got to hear. What are you giggling for? Yeah. Anyhow, how are you this morning?
I am doing well. I woke up just a smidge late this morning, but I'm here.
Oh, well, listen. Sit back, relax. Don't close your eyes. Don't leave the studio. And for Pete's sakes, don't talk to the boss.
Oh.
That'll wreck your day.
I know.
Okay. And do we have a pledger?
We have Carl on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Very good. Carl, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done.
Happy Dr. History Tuesday.
Hey, by the way, don't forget, next Thursday, we're going to be at Lunch Bunch, Carl, at Perkins in Burley.
Oh, yeah, and Joanne and I are really looking forward to it.
All right, God bless both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time right now to go to the number one weatherman in the universe. I mean, he takes his little galaxy patrol and checks out what's going to happen, and he's brought to you by Rock Creek Growers, corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. Don't forget 35% off all the trees, shrubs, and plant materials, everything right there at Rock Creek Growers for the beautification of your home and property. You check it out today. Nice people. The Anderson family doing business since 1988. Rock Creek Growers in Kimberly. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Morning, everybody. 65 degrees on a very nice Tuesday morning. We got a cold front that's going to be coming through our area. The National Weather Service in Boise put out a special weather statement as the result of that cold front coming through southeast Oregon and southwest Idaho. I do not particularly think we're going to see anything out of it, but by the same token, cold fronts coming through our area have a tendency to do some weird things. One of the things they like to do is once they get to, say, our area, they like to kind of just stall and just won't move. The cold front slated for our area, possibly with thunderstorms and gusty winds, should be pulling through about between 8 and 10 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, you're going to see a sunny day. 81 for the high, 49 for the overnight low. Sunny tomorrow. Temperatures remain the same, but to put the weather statement out there, there is a cold front coming through our area. We won't see the results of it till possibly about 8 or 10 o'clock tonight. You might start to feel some of it with the gusty winds. right around supper time as you work your way toward the evening. That's it. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go. MichaelRogersWeather.com, the best weatherman around. Rock Creek Growers, the sponsor of the weather on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. Hey, there is going to be, and I'll get to the caller in just a moment. Stand by, please. Have some patience. This coming Saturday, the 6th annual POW-MIA Recognition Day ceremonies, and it's going to be at the Square in Rupert, and it's going to have live music performed by John McEwen of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band at about 10 o'clock in the morning and again at 1:30 in the afternoon. And the recognition program will be at 2 p.m. at the City Square in Rupert this Saturday. Real quick, I want to remind everybody, too, about SafeLink Internet. All new SafeLink. I'll tell you, SafeLink high-speed wireless Internet, professional installation and no credit checks and no contracts required. I'll tell you, these people really care. You get a hold of Shane and the rest of the crew today. Sign up. We've been on it for a long time. Love it. SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. You call them today. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hey, you know that speech that I talked about a little while back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, you ought to make copies of it and distribute it at the lunch fund.
No, I will not ever make copies of something that I have copywritten. It means that much to me that I don't want it just dispersed out to the public, Rodney, so that everyone can use it. It's personal and private information that I've written, and I just don't want it scattered all willy-nilly around the country.
Oh, I understand.
Okay, buddy.
Kind of a bummer I ain't going to be there at the lunch bunch, though, because of work, but...
Well...
You know, I'll be thinking of you guys.
Well, we'll be thinking and caring for you always, Rodney. Thank you very much for your kind remarks. I appreciate it. God bless you, young man. Thank you.
Yeah, catch you later.
All right, thank you. Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in with all your rumply-crumplies and get your curtains and your drapes and everything cleaned. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you got a lot of holidays to look forward to coming up. You know, Thanksgiving and then Christmas and New Year's. Better get everything cleaned up. We're going into fall. People are going to be coming in the house and enjoying. You stop over there. Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Really, really nice folks. The best cleaner around. I'm going to say this morning and probably take some heat for it, but that's okay. One thing on this show, I'm not going to be dishonest, and if I go against what the norm is, that's okay too, because I'm good. I pay for this thing. I'm going to give you my opinion. I absolutely in my heart of hearts believe that yesterday's terrible, absolutely disgusting tragedy at that Navy shipyard in Washington, D.C. was caused by gun control. Now, a lot of you are going to say, wait a minute, what's the matter with you? Gun control didn't do it. Yes, it did. There were no guns on the base. Washington, D.C. is a gun-free zone. See? Only the bad guys have the weapons. That's why I'm going to stand behind this statement, and I think I'm the only one in the media that said this up to this point. And I don't care about O'Reilly, I don't care about Hannity, I don't care about anybody else, but this is my statement. I think that tragedy with 13 people being killed at that military naval base was because of gun control and the idiocy of having all those offices, having all that naval base personnel at their jobs because of gun control. They did not have any weapons to take this vermin down. And I think because it's a gun-free zone, bad people know this, and they commit atrocities like we saw yesterday. Gun-free school zones, gun-free military zones at a base. This is crazy. 12 people have passed away because of a crazed person who has exhibited many, many troubling signs in the past. This guy should have been locked up, and they should have thrown the key away a long time ago. He was a hazard to society. He had shot out 4 tires on occasion, I believe back in 2004. He had shot a hole through the ceiling and almost hit another lady at an apartment complex. This man had planned this attack, and just like Nidal Hasan, the Muslim terrorist killer, it was preventable. This guy shouldn't have had to fall through the cracks. But I'll go back and make my statement, and feel free to jump right in the middle of me for what I said. This absolute tragedy was caused by gun control. Caller, I'm going to ask your indulgence and patience, and I'll take your call momentarily. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, and you can call ahead and have your order waiting for you, 678-0459. And they've got all the lamps and electrical ballast, and it's hats off to farmers saluting agriculture right now during harvest time. They appreciate and respect all the people in agriculture. Over 57 years in business, you be sure and stop in for all your cords, cord ends, fuses, everything at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. On this gun control, I was listening to a guy on the news last night, and he says he's debated many people who are for gun control, but he says he's never found a one willing to put a sign in their front lawn that this property is gun-free.
Yeah, that's my whole point. You've kind of summed it up. The schools and a military base. Now, sir, let me ask you about the incompetency and the absolute idiocy of having a military zone without any weapons of control and or being able to protect their citizenry that work there. This is complete. It's insane.
Well, we train them. They're trained with them. They know how to handle them. They won't go off half-cocked. 99.9% of the people there will not use a gun against another person there because they're, I guess, mentally stable, I guess.
Well, this guy was absolutely on the fringe. He was on the fringe. And there's been many cases to where they should have taken him, locked him up, and threw away the key. I don't know how he got the guns. I don't think that's been ascertained as of yet. It was a planned attack. He knew it was a gun-free zone. And this whole thing just reeks of this problem being caused by gun control.
Exactly. Well, like down at Fort Hood.
Yes.
Had the military down there, had they all been carrying weapons, at least a sidearm, he would only maybe have got one or two, and that would have been it, and he'd have been dead.
Absolutely.
He had to put up, I don't know how many millions of dollars to go through a kangaroo court so he could claim it was, his jihad.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something else about that. While Muslim terrorist killer Nidal Hasan was waiting for his trial, he earned over $300,000 of our money. And here's the kicker. Of that $300,000, you would think that the victims and their families could go after that money in his bank account. Guess what? His attorney for him at the trial said that this Muslim killer had donated his money to charity.
But they won't say which one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably jihad training camp over in, where he's from. It's terrible.
It is absolutely disgusting. Sir, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. God bless. Valley White, I want more calls on this because I believe in my heart of hearts that gun control caused this absolute travesty and tragedy. I just can't imagine having a naval base, army base, Marines, anything where you do not have weapons loaded and ready to serve for protection of your military personnel. Such was not the case yesterday. And as of just right after that vicious attack, our illustrious president came out and started making statements about gun control, as did most of the Democratic Party. But put the finger and the onus back on them. Point your finger at their chest and say, wait a minute. Gun control allowed this person to do what he did. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Don't forget Valley-wide Home and Ranch. It's getting chillier out, and in the morning when you go out to feed or do your chores, maybe you better think about stopping into Valley-wide today and checking out all the Carhartt coats and the Carhartt vests. I'm telling you, Carhartt, absolutely the best. They've got all the clothing you need right there for the farm, home, and the family and the ranch, of course, right at Valley-wide Home and Ranch. And all your feed needs for all your livestock, they've got everything. Want to take a little time off and go fishing? Get in there and check out their fishing section right there at Valley-wide Home and Ranch. 910 South Oneida and Rupert, Steve and the whole crew, serving you at Valley-wide Home and Ranch. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. One of the real reasons that they got through is because security dropped the ball on this one.
I agree.
Them soldiers was armed. They did not do the full check they're supposed to do, because I've never seen anything as rotten as some of these security we got at these bases. Why don't they go back to the old days?
Yeah, but wait a minute. Back up to the original point. And if you don't agree with me, I know you'll tell me. The whole thing boils down to, again, and I will say this. This man knew, this Alexis knew, that was a gun-free zone, and he thought he could have a cakewalk, and you know what? He did.
Well, that's what I said. Security dropped the damn ball because they never done thorough checkings of all them vehicles and stuff, or they'd have found that.
He had supposedly a valid security pass, but how would you give, Al, let me ask you this. You've been in the military, and caller number 2, stand by. How would you give a valid security pass to somebody that's been exhibiting signs of being nuts by sitting on his front porch and shooting out tires in 2004, and then shooting another weapon at another occasion through the ceiling up into a neighbor's apartment? This guy should have had his background check, and they dropped the ball.
Well, they said it was a valid security pass, but if it was a stolen pass, it didn't have his picture on it. That's what I said. They dropped the ball on the security check.
I can't agree more, but again, I'm going to stick with my guns, if you will, and say that because of gun control, this escalated to the point of where it did.
Well, I still got my 2 guns sitting here, and they haven't fired a shot in quite a few years. It ain't the gun that's dumb, it's the people that are pulling the trigger.
No question about it. Thank you, Al. Appreciate your remarks. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that we're going to be over at Perkins Restaurant next week on the 26th. Yes, we are. We're moving our lunch bunch. It's going to be now at Perkins Restaurant, and we are excited. John Webster and the rest of the crew over there at Perkins have been absolutely phenomenal to work with, and we are looking forward to going over there. Next week on the 26th will be our first Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Perkins in Burley, and I'm asking everybody to be there at 800 North Overland in Burley at 11:30 in the morning. Perkins, where they believe in being best buds with your taste buds, all the pies, all the pastries, all the great breakfasts and luncheons, and everything else at Perkins. We'll see you at Lunch Bunch on the 26th at 11:30. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. You're certainly right. I had the same feeling. As soon as that happened, I said, well, yeah, I'll bet you the military people, none of them had any guns, and it's a gun-free zone, so I can totally concur with what you're saying. The same thing around these schools are gun-free zones, and so anybody comes in there with a gun that means to do harm. And the other thing is, this guy obviously was tied into these violent video games again, just like the Sandy Hook guy.
Yep.
And people don't want to, reflect on that as well, because once you get into this, guy was just living out a dream, and that he was going to be a video game for him in a way. And so I think that also takes a play, but the guy definitely had some medical problems.
Well, and the other thing, too, Adrian, that I really was upset about last night was that Barack Obama came on right after this mess at this naval base, and I think the president was absolutely wrong, as do many columnists like Charles Krauthammer with the Washington Post, when he criticized President Obama for his partisan attack on Republicans right after this shooting. This guy just plays nothing but politics. He doesn't do anything except play politics, and I have nothing but disdain for this President of the United States.
This man, you're right. He takes every situation and they're going to make, and of course, there was one guy on TV or on radio or whatever said, "I wonder how soon they'll tie this. This had to be a Tea Party guy,
Yeah.
This is what they're always looking for excuses, and like Al just said, the guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns. So,
but go back. Let's go back to the original point that I made this morning. That this tragedy, I honestly believe, and I have yet to have anybody call me this morning and tell me I'm wrong. This thing could have been averted had the naval base, as a military base, acted as a military base, and they would have had weapons on the base to take this guy out. And I will say this: I think this was extremely well pre-planned. He knew where to go. He knew what to do. He knew where to be, if you will. He knew who to shoot and how he wanted to shoot these people. And I think, honestly, weapons would have taken him out, and this could have been minimized or marginalized to the point where people wouldn't have suffered like they did yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. It's really a sad situation when we've reached the point where, our whole society is held in hostage with these liberal socialist ideas. And like I said, there's three things they need to form a dictatorship: gun control, control of education, and medical, national health care. And our educational system is teaching that the Second Amendment is only for state militias. That's in the Common Core curriculum. I've already seen it.
Yeah.
And so this is the propaganda goes on. Those three things, once they get those, we've lost our freedom.
I agree with you.
Up.
I got to run to a hard break, but I thank you for your call. Thank you, Adrian, very much. Very much.
Have a great day. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, folks, had he stuck his head around the corner, like one witness said, and then started firing, I wonder what the personality of his attack and how it would have changed had all of a sudden somebody reached into a holster and said, "Dude, you are history," and fired back. I absolutely am convinced that this heinous attack on our military base could have been prevented because of having more guns. This tragedy was caused because of gun control.
Can I ask a dumb question?
There is no such thing as a dumb question.
Okay, so you're on a military base. So why is it a gun-free zone?
Because where it is, Washington D.C. is a gun-free zone, and the liberals have approached this and won. They have won because of the absolute heinous crimes that are committed in that area. They have basically turned Washington D.C. into a kind of a sanitized gun-free zone of where the base sits, and they went along in adherence. Gina, I can't give you the answer as to why the military went along, but they have, and I will stand behind the minimization of safety because of gun control.
And this is my thought. It's a military base. They're there to protect. They
Absolutely.
need to be armed.
Yeah, but this is the idiocy that's taking over. Look at Benghazi. Need I go further?
No, you don't have to go further on that one. I'm having my problems wrapping my head around the fact that this is a military base and they're unarmed. It's a military base.
Here's the problem that I'm seeing this morning is the idiocy, the incompetency, and the absolutely brainless twits on the left that think by sanitizing and taking all the guns away from the people, it's going to make us safe. This guy was absolutely planning this for a long time. How he obtained the weapons, I can't wait to hear, but probably not in a legal fashion at all. But yet they want to punish legal gun owners and legal people that want to protect themselves and their family and their co-workers, and so they implement a gun-free zone so that 13 people died.
It makes no sense to me. That was just my question.
I'm livid about this.
I know.
I got to calm down. The absolute brainless twits, and I'll use this verbiage again, the left, saying that, we got to sanitize society and get rid of all guns. Your thoughts, I will come out and say, killed those people yesterday. And I'll stand behind that. Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn, right there at Jim McCall's farm. They've got all the grease gun supplies, and they got all the grease guns. And don't forget, they got all the window wash for your trucks at Harvest, and they got the Bubba ropes. They got it all. If you get stuck, use your Bubba rope. Get out of there, and you'll never get stuck. Well, if you do get stuck again, the Bubba rope will get you out. And they also got all the shop towels, box of 200 for only $14.99. Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn. You give them a call, 438-8730. Time now, boy, I'm running late. Pacific Steel and Recycling and the Ag Minute at 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Wonderful people for all your recycling. I'll tell you more in just a minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
New federal regulations could be onerous for potato farmers who use their center pivots to fumigate fields, according to the National Potato Council. In December, the Environmental Protection Agency implemented requirements that will see the first widespread use this fall, imposing buffer zones for spraying fumigants containing metasodium or metapotassium. To maintain licenses to spray the product, chemical applicators must pass a test about the new regulations, the second phase of the standard. The new buffer zones in which entry is restricted for an extended period by anyone not involved in chemical application will vary in size based on field size and application rates. With the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Brous.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
You know, the Pacific Steel and Recycling folks are just service-oriented, and they've got all kinds of bins and dumpsters and also very highly trained employees to help load and haul your scrap metal away from you. And by golly, I'll tell you, you know what the cost of the service is? It's free. They will help you. Please call them today, 678-2321. Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley, bringing you the Ag Minute. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Just minutes after the shooting, Dianne Feinstein called a press conference and said, what in the world is it going to take for us to get rid of guns? And you got to remember, she's from San Francisco, the place of weirdos.
Well, let me just say this. Her direct quote was as follows, and I just want you to know that I've been following up on this. This is one more event to add to the litany of massacres that occur when a deranged person or grievance killer is able to obtain multiple weapons, including a military-style assault rifle, and kill many people in a short amount of time. When will be enough? Carl, you have served in the Navy, and you are a veteran. What are your thoughts about our military bases being gun-free zones? To me, this is complete insanity.
I think it's unconscionable that they give a Marine a gun and then tell him he can't put ammunition in it. Whenever he has a weapon, he should have ammunition in it. That's my firm belief. And that includes the Air Force and Army, too. Very few sailors carry guns. But But
wait a minute, Carl, the point being what you just said right there. Stop for a minute because you made a good point. By carrying empty weapons, they're basically, and I'm not trying to marginalize or minimize their importance, but they're turned into toy soldiers, have they not?
Exactly, and that was the point I was trying to get across. Not very well, maybe, but I truly believe that if a military man has got a weapon strapped to him or carrying, it should be loaded.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for your call because being in the Navy, former submariner, you, of course, probably have a lot of sympathy and empathy for what happened yesterday. But I will stay behind this statement. And I know the liberals out there are going to get a hold of me after the program out of my email, my cell phone. Here, liberals, listen. My number is 312-2976. You haven't had the guts to call in the past. You probably won't now. But, Carl, this tragedy was caused by gun control, and I'll leave it at that.
I believe you're right.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank
God
you.
bless you. Caller number 2, stay with me. I'll be right with you. I want to talk about Rain for Rent at 134 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul. Listen, folks, they have all the Reinke pivot sales and service, and they've got the professionals working there. The professionals that know all about water, all about irrigation. They can help you. Frank Jensen for your industrial needs, Skip Hilton, Brooks West. They all know what to do and how to get the job done for you. And by the way, they're going to have a drawing that's going to run all the way through October 21st for a 40-inch flat screen TV. Get in there. Great Reinke rebates for this fall at Rain for Rent, 134 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul. Really nice people. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, none of this happened until Obama got put in office. I mean, you couldn't get near any of the bases without military police or something like that on top of you. You could not, you know, the bases, everybody had arms and stuff like that. Obama is afraid of our military. And if he can't control them, he can't control us.
Kiltman, tell me this. Tell me this. You're a sharp guy. And caller number 2, stand by. Have patience. You're a sharp guy, and I've got a lot of respect for you. Go ahead. Tell me another country that would put their soldiers out as toy soldiers and not have their weapons loaded. Go ahead, tell me another country.
The only ones that do that are the ones that are afraid of their own military, the ones that are afraid that they can't go on there because they're afraid of the people that are there. I mean, you look at it, even when he went to visit the soldiers over, I think it was in Iraq or something like that, none of the soldiers within X amount of distance had any firearms with ammo in them.
And please share with me and tell me why. What in the world are we subjecting our military personnel, whether they're in secretarial staffs or whether they're in office management staffs or whether they are supposed to be for protection? What good does it do to stand somebody next to a building holding an empty carbine that absolutely is nothing more than a toy?
It's for show. It's for show only. The only ones that have the arms are your new brown army, you know, National Homeland Security, the IRS, and EPA. The ones that he can control.
Yeah.
The Army, he doesn't have total control over them, so he has them. They've got their hands tied. I
am just absolutely sickened by what happened yesterday. My heart goes out to the families of the victims and also to the people that were wounded because this didn't have to happen. And I will stand up against any Democrat that has the guts, and I haven't found any in this area, or any area, to stand up on this program and debate me. This tragedy was caused by gun control, by sick people that should have never had the guns. They got them illegally, and this guy should have been locked up a long time ago, Kiltman, because of what he had done previously.
That's exactly right. He's making it to where the only people that have guns are the criminals.
That's right.
You know that right now, up until Obama, there was a 5-mile buffer zone around the president whenever he was traveled somewhere. Now it's a 10-mile buffer zone. What's the problem? Obama.
Absolutely. Kiltman, I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Have a good day. Stop in. See us. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning. I have a big question.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the race of that shooter?
He is a black man.
No, you're wrong.
I am?
Don't do that.
Why am I wrong, ma'am?
Well, because a black could not do that. I mean, look, Obama's black.
I'm not going to be facetious about this at all, Helen. I'm just going to state the case as it is. He is a black man, and to me, color doesn't even play a part in the tragedy here. Idiocy does. Idiocy does. This man should have been locked up a long time ago for what I said. He had crimes on his record. He was a malcontent that absolutely couldn't take orders. He had shot out tires on a car. He had shot through a apartment apartment ceiling. This guy should have never had a gun. He should have been locked up for all the things he'd done. And I don't care if he's purple. I'm just saying that this guy absolutely had no business being on that base. They should have shot and killed him right off the bat because of the stupidity of a gun-free zone.
Well, now, I want to throw another little scenario in your path. Did Holder have something to do with this?
I have no idea. We can speculate.
Did the government arrange this so that he could just push on the gun control some more?
Well, Helen, I can't speculate on things like that, nor should we. I only deal with facts, and I've got the facts sitting right here in front of me this morning, thanks to a lot of hard work and effort by my wife and other people that have helped me on this thing. All I know is that, wait a minute, please. The facts say this, that this is a tragedy caused by gun control because the right people in the right positions were absolutely put at risk because of a gun control edict at that base.
Well, I think this is just a smoke screen, too.
It might be.
I don't know.
All these things that you alluded to... All these things that you alluded to could pan out. But, again...
I don't trust this government. I don't care who it is, whether it's Democrat or Republican. I do not trust one of them.
All right. I can't argue with you, but I will not speculate, and I hope you understand and appreciate that. Thank you so much, Helen. I appreciate it. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes.
Let's not forget that it was Clinton who started the ban on military weapons on the military bases.
Yeah, he did a great job on bringing to justice the people from the USS Cole, didn't he?
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Let's not forget that 13 people lost their lives. This is a tragedy, and gun control, give me a break. It wasn't the gun that killed the people. It was the person pulling the trigger behind the gun.
Yeah, and... Donna, I'm just absolutely... I wish Dick Durbin, and I got to call into his office, too. He'll never call and come on this program. The Democrats have no guts, whether it's on a local, state, or national level. No, and I'm waiting for somebody to dispute that, because as you well know, I've invited these people on this program many, many times in a very gentlemanly fashion to discuss platforms and beliefs of their party. And gee whiz, every time I've called some of the hierarchy, they run with their tail between their legs, because they haven't got the backbone to debate this. And to say that gun control and the lack of it caused this problem, no. It was gun control and the futility of gun control that caused this problem, because that naval base should have had people with armed weapons that could have taken this guy out immediately.
You betcha. And why didn't the police department? I mean, why did they have... I'm sorry, why did they have to arrest him?
The questions, Donna, that are being posed, just like Helen a moment ago, speculation about, well, maybe this was part of it, maybe this person had something to do with it. I don't go there. I'm only going to play with facts, and I think right now the facts are that the incompetency of having a gun-free zone caused this problem.
Yeah. I totally agree, and I think it's a tragedy that we, the people, are allowing this baloney to keep going.
Well, you know as well as I do that in a private circle, that's not the word you would have used, nor I.
Yeah,
but thank you for being very cautious.
I'm being good.
Okay. Donna, God bless you. Thank you so much. Good day, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Now, I'll stand behind this. We are going to see, mark my words, we are going to see a concentrated effort by the President of the United States and the incompetent Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, along with Eric Holder, and many, many others of this administration, will rail and tear their hair and gnash their teeth and show big alligator tears on television about more gun control. And the bottom line is, I don't care what they say about registration and all this stuff, they want confiscation. Now, a lot of people don't have the guts to say it. I'm going to say it. They want the United Nations and that treaty to come into existence and take guns away from all of us. Now, you might go, it will never happen in America. Don't give me that. It can happen here. It can happen tomorrow. And it can be forceful and extremely dangerous. Somebody walks up to you, Mr. Homeowner, and points a gun at you and says, give me your weapons, or I am going to arrest you, an entire family, and throw you in jail. What are you going to do? Are you going to play John Wayne with me and say, oh, I'll fight him? Yeah, you got 27 guns pointed at you. United Nations guns. It can happen. It's happened in other countries. Don't tell me it can't happen here. It certainly can. And we're allowing it to grow like a cancer right now because we're not standing up and fighting back against these people. Mark my words. Mark my words. And this is not at all a funny situation. I was a little bit more than upset this morning, earlier at 4:30 this morning. And I'm going to mention names on this because I'm going to send him an email after this program and let him know that I thought it was very low, very shallow, and not professional. Brian Kilmeade on Fox News made some kind of a joke in adjacency to this tragedy. And sometimes this guy tries to be too much of a humorist, and he shot himself in the foot, per se. And I'm going to let him know that that remark was not warranted and not respected. Sometimes people on television try to be too cutesy, unfortunately, with some very serious situations. He should be reprimanded, and I'm going to be one of the people to reprimand him. That was not called for. We have a weather forecast that is sponsored by Sportsman's Warehouse, and I'm going to ask the indulgence and patience of this caller before you call in. I'm going to get this on the air quickly. Stay with me. Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. The great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Friendly experts, quality gear, down-home attitude. It's all there. Whether you're into hunting, fishing, archery, whatever, everything is there for you at Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin Falls. Here now, Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everybody. Michael Rogers for Michael Rogers Weather. For the Magic Valley, possibly might not see anything as far as rain or thunderstorm, but I think you might see something later on this evening. The cold front should be hitting the area somewhere between 8 and 10 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, look for a mostly sunny day with temperatures in the low 80s. 81, wind's going to be out of the northwest at about 8 to 10 miles an hour. Cloudy tonight with a low around 49. Otherwise, be advised, there is a cold front pulling through the Magic Valley of south central Idaho. The most you could possibly get out of it will be some gusty winds. I would not be surprised if you did get a thunderstorm also. So have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
Sportsman's Warehouse only carries the top quality products for the serious outdoor enthusiast at 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Sportsman's Warehouse. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I have a brother that lives in Idaho County, and they had a fair, a emergency prepared fair there, and they had the sheriff come up and talk to the people that were at it. And one of the questions he asked was, how many of you here have a concealed weapons permit? And most of them raised their hands. And then he said, how many of you are carrying right now? And just 2 or 3 of them raised their hands. And he said, all right, how come the rest of you aren't carrying your weapons if you have a concealed weapon permit? And I think that's what we need is sheriffs that will encourage those things and, help teach the people how to handle them, and then we can have a little more justice in this country.
You know, I appreciate your remarks, and I want you to do me a favor. Have you got a pencil right there or a pen?
Just a second, and I can have one.
All right, grab it and write this number down. I want you to write my number down, and I want you to call me after the program on my cell phone and give me the name of that sheriff so that I can call him and get him on the air. Would you do that?
Okay.
All right, my number's 312-2976.
2976.
Really, do that for a favor for me. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, we need more sheriffs that will stick up for the people, the citizens of their counties, and I think that would take care of a lot of the problems.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'll ask you this question, and I want you to answer honestly, and I'm not pointing my finger at any one respective county or sheriff, but I think honestly Most county sheriffs bow in fear to the government, and they don't realize the rules, regulations, and control and power that they have as a county sheriff over the federal government. Would you agree with that or not?
What? Oh, yes. They're in charge of their county. In fact, he made a comment to the people that were there. He says, there's 2 FBI agents here, and I have told them that if they want to go out and serve a warrant on somebody, that if they, something happens to them, well, that's too bad. If they want to serve a warrant on somebody, they contact me. I'll send a sheriff deputy out there with them so that they can, do it properly. And I guess he was just saying, hey, you never know who's going to be at your door to do what.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just sound like a good sheriff.
I want to ask you one final thought. We've been, for the last almost hour, talking about this tragedy at Washington, D.C.'s Naval Shipyard, and I want to see if you agree with me or not. I made the statement earlier this morning, and I know the left is absolutely upset about this, but I made the statement that this murderer was absolutely enhanced because of gun control in that area. Would you agree or not?
Oh, yeah. If people would have had a weapon on them, they could have stopped it a lot quicker than it was. The guy, he had a shotgun. He shot one of the officers or whoever was protecting things, took his rifle and his side weapon, and that's what he used to commit all of these atrocities. And, if somebody would have had a weapon and close by, they could have taken him out. I hate to keep you so long, but I remember I lived up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Fairchild Air Force Base. They had a guy go in there with a gun and start shooting people up. And the guy had just come back from 2 weeks of vacation, and he was an MP. And he was 200 yards away, and all he had was a sidearm, but he drew down on him, and one shot took the guy out.
Absolutely. And
if you know how to handle a weapon, we can do something with it.
Absolutely. Sir, thank you very much. And I'll look forward to hearing from you with that information, sir. Thank you so much.
Right.
God bless you. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
I appreciate that kind of a call and his remarks. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Just think about it. Just think about a soldier, a young 19-year-old soldier. Go stand at your post. Oh, here is an unloaded weapon. Now, you are to serve as a deterrent against anything that might go on as far as criminality right here on this base, this portion of the base. You're in charge. You make sure nothing happens. You're making a toy soldier out of that 19-year-old, standing there with nothing but a toy gun unloaded, and putting him in harm's way and possibly opening up death's door. How doggone stupid is that? Gun-free zone. Military base. No protection. Asinine. Don't forget the great big tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely all the tires you need for safe driving. They've got the Ultra Z900 for your passenger cars, all new on sale, starting at just $109.67. And for your light truck and SUVs, the Wildcat AT2 on sale right now. Smooth, quiet ride, $117.15. Oh my! They've got the best in tires. They've got all the custom wheels on sale, and they've got the best in brake service. Best of everything. Oh, wait a minute. Back up. The best of service always at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Pauline, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. Quickly, you're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. Okay, if you were an officer and you were going to send a man into war, what was the first thing you would give that man?
Well, of course, protection for himself and also a weapon to deter the enemy.
Guess what it was when we landed in Cameron Bay?
Go ahead, Doc.
We took rockets that night, and there was no ammo and there was no guns on that base.
That's incompetency and idiocy.
Right there.
That's incompetency and idiocy, and it's also nothing more than appeasement to the enemy, and it's putting our people in harm's way and at death's door for no reason whatsoever.
When I went up to Tonsadut to get the mail, which was about 3 miles away from our base, I ended up carrying a sidearm 45 and a sawed-off shotgun, and that's exactly what I used, and there was people on all sides of me and right around. And that was ready to be used at any time.
And I'll bet they were loaded.
They were one in the chamber and ready to go.
All right, Doc, that's what I respect, and that's what America should be. But, oh, my goodness, this tragedy yesterday. Pardon me, sir?
That hasn't changed in 50 years, sending us to Vietnam and not having guns.
Yeah, this toy soldier attitude is pathetic. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Gina, I appreciated your remarks earlier this morning, but I just absolutely am livid when I think about the families, I think about the people that have passed on, I think about the horrific recuperation of these people that are wounded. All of this did not have to happen.
No, it didn't have to happen, and I'm still... Apparently, I've been blind, and I missed this a long time ago, that our military bases don't have any arms, and our men and our women that are serving our country here at home, sitting on a military base, they're unarmed. How dumb is that?
Well, you know, really, when you're a little boy, and I remember when I was a little boy, I had my soldier set, you know, the little wax-type soldiers, etc.
You have those. Mm-hmm.
Basically, Gina, and I don't mean to minimize our wonderful military, but I feel so much empathy and sympathy for them. Basically, standing on guard at a military base, carrying and holding an empty weapon, it is the same thing you give a child to play with.
Yeah, it's like handing them a wooden gun and saying, okay, boy, there you go, have fun, and don't get yourself hurt.
I just am sick about this. Yes, America, I'll take a stand on this. This tragedy, these killings, these people and their suffering was caused by gun control, and I'll stand behind that remark all the way.
Because we let it happen.
Amen. I'll be back in 6. Good morning. Welcome back. Hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 great locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, and they include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Always at your disposal. Don't forget they've got all the restrooms with the standalone hand wash stations, and these are absolutely excellent for any event that you have planned. And don't forget, too, I keep telling you about get on the garbage service, the route service. Boy, I'll tell you what, every week they're here just like clockwork, picking up our garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. Always at your disposal. These folks really care. Western Waste Services. Again, the number to call, 734-6969. 734-6969, Western Waste Services. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, too, we want to acknowledge just some really nice, caring people. And that's, of course, the staff headed up by Joel Heward, the owner-manager of Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. And they always are pledging to serve you and your family, excuse me, as you want to be served. And believe me, they know that every life is worth remembering with the highest ethical standards and unquestioned integrity. Serving you, Hanson Mortuary. Joel Heward and his staff will answer any and all questions. Call them at 436-5636, 710 6th Street in Rupert, Hanson Mortuary. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us on the phone line right now a very, very dear friend, and that's Mr. George Mass, and he's going to tell us all about a great big 6th annual POW MIA Recognition Day taking place at the Rupert City Square coming up on this Saturday, September 21st. Good morning, George. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm standing out here in the Sequoia, so if my reception's bad, I'll apologize for it.
Well, go stand someplace else.
I'm afoot. This fat boy ain't very good at walking.
All right. Listen, George, quickly, we haven't got a lot of time, and I really want to emphasize the effort that you've put into, along with other people, to have this POW MIA recognition program. Tell us about when it starts and what's going to happen.
Well, we'll have live music starting at 10. We've got 3-4 different groups going to be playing till 1:30. At 1:30, we have Mr. Zeb Bell as our MC. And our POW ceremony program starts at 2 o'clock. We are fortunate to have John McEwen of Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's going to do a patriotic song for us. We'll have Firing Squad. There'll be food. Youth for Liberty will be posting colors, and my grandson and I will be doing the POW table ceremony. And button up those and go out to the concert.
You know, I want to say something right here, and I know that you will agree with me, George. This is extremely important. This is extremely well done every year. This is extremely patriotic, and I urge every single person to give up a little bit of time on Saturday at 1:30 and be at the Rupert Square. What would you say?
Yes, I agree. Our program is unique. I don't know of another one like it. We honor individual POWs or their families. It gets pretty emotional.
It does get emotional, but I also want to stress it's so much in need because we do not know what happened to a lot of our POW MIAs. We want to know. We're not being told. There doesn't seem to be a concentrated effort. And thanks to you, George Mass, and others, this program is going to be put on at 1:30. And I just can't understand why people can't say, wait a minute, I'm a patriotic American. I believe in the American dream, and I certainly appreciate those that have gone before me to help me get my dream. Why can't I take an hour and go down to the Rupert Square and be a part of the POW MIA Recognition Day?
And I agree, Zeb. Our main goal is to keep the POW MIA out front in the public eye for awareness until we get them all homeward accounted for.
Now, is there anybody else you want to mention or acknowledge that's going to be on the speaking docket or anything else that's going to happen that day?
Well, at 1 o'clock, a bunch of motorcycle groups will be escorting Bob Lopez. He's a brother of Rudolph Lopez out of Burley to the Rupert Square. And that's always heart-wrenching to see them come in.
It's not only heart-wrenching to see them come in, but when you hear the rumble and you hear the roar of those motorcycles with all those American flags, if that doesn't make you bubble up and get your eyes watering, nothing will.
I agree, Zeb, and those bike riders do so much for so many. It's just they're continuing doing something for somebody.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about John McEwen of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. I understand that John has very graciously said that he will sing a song for this event, and then that night he's going to have, along with the rest of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, a concert at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds.
That is true, yes. And John, last time I talked to John, he said we might have more than one up on the stage on a patriotic song. So it was very gracious of them to step forward. I asked my boy, they just was overwhelmed with joy and jumped right on it to be part of the program.
Okay, now, George, give us specific times again. I don't want anybody saying, well, gee, I didn't hear the time, or gee, I didn't understand when it started. I want you to be very specific and very loud and tell people to be there.
The music starts at 10 o'clock, Saturday, September 21st, at the Rupert Square. The music will play till 1:30. The program will start at 2 o'clock, and it should be over around 2:45 or 3 o'clock.
All right. George, I want to say this. You have not only been a good friend, but you have done so much for this 6th Annual POW MIA Recognition Day, along with your wife, Donna, and many others. God bless you for what you're doing. I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Zeb. It's a community effort, and there's a lot of people involved to get this up and going.
All right, so mark that on your calendars. This coming Saturday, the 21st, everybody be at the Rupert Square. George, God bless you, man. Go find another place to stand.
I will do, so I'll get back to work.
All right.
Thank you for your support, and I hope to see everybody there.
All right, George, thank you. I just can't tell you enough how much I appreciate George and his wife, Donna. Anytime there's a project, anytime I have something where I need some volunteer people to help me, wow, they step up to the forefront. I'm asking you, the audience, please step up to the forefront on Saturday and be there at the Rupert Square for the 6th annual POW-MIA Recognition Day. Nothing tears my heart out worse than looking out from that podium and seeing maybe 100 people. That park should be absolutely flooded over with people that say, thank you. Thank you, POW-MIAs and our military, for what you've done. And I'm urging you to be there. In just a few minutes, we're going to have another gentleman on the air, on the program with us this morning, and I believe it's going to be Pastor Jim Powell with the Mountain View Christian Center, and we're going to take care of some commercials, and then he'll be on the air with me in just a few moments. I want to remind you about Burley Glass. Hello, Gentle Ben. How you doing? Gentle Ben and the rest of the crew at Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-1459. Working hard to provide great service to all the communities in Magic Valley with windows that are going to keep being energy efficient. That's right. It's getting colder. It's going into fall. So you want to keep the cold outside and the heat inside. Well, check out the atrium windows. Absolutely increase your energy efficiency of your home by 2 to 3 times. Call Gentle Ben today, 678-1459, 1029 Overland and Burley Glass. Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't go away. I also want to acknowledge the fact that 2 people like Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, teamed up a long time ago, and they have Cameron and Siemens Insurance. They have protection. They have security. And they have the knowledge and know-how how to share that with you and your family and your business. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and much, much more from these individuals serving you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
Did you happen to watch that ball game last night?
Parts and pieces of it, yes.
Okay. Do you know when they first started that fireman sang that national anthem?
Yes.
Zeb, that was one of the best ones I've ever heard a male do.
Let me just say something here real quick, Al, because I've got another guest coming on, and I want to get your response. I found an email came to me a couple of weeks ago, and I don't have it right here on my desk, but I'm going to comment on it tomorrow, thanks to what you just said. For the entertainers out there in the audience that think they're entertainers, that want to take the national anthem and they want to change it, and they want to go peaks and valleys, and they want to put all the flowery type attitude into the national anthem, knock it off. Sing the anthem with respect the way it should be, like that gentleman sang it last night.
That was beautiful. That even kind of got me going.
Well, I concur with you, and to all these pop artists that want to change it and add all the frivolity and everything else, that's garbage. Sing it the way it should be sung.
Have a good one.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Do we have Pastor Powell waiting there, Gina?
It's Pastor Powell.
Say that again. I liked how you said that.
It's Pastor Powell.
Put that on tape with a hallelujah. We got to have a hallelujah. Go ahead. Give us a hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
That a girl, Gina. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mountain View Christian Center, Pastor Jim Powell. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
What are you going to talk about this morning?
Man, some great stuff that's going to change some people's lives.
Okay, well, fire at will, sir.
Well, thank you so much. We're getting ready to launch a free medical clinic in our Mini-Caja area for the uninsured, and we're just excited about the potential of not only serving people with food, but we do quite generous through Mountain View Christian Center and give them spiritual food through the Bible and the teaching and stuff that happens each week. But now also we get to minister and administer healing through licensed professional medical staff in a free capacity to the uninsured communities.
Jim, let me ask you a couple of questions here, and believe me, I absolutely salute you and shake your hand for what you're doing over there. But are you afraid that with the onslaught of a free program that it will be abused by certain people?
I'm sure that there will be abuse. There is. I mean, we feed thousands of people every year, and there's abuse there. Will there be? Yes. Do we have systems in place to help us navigate through that? Yes. So there will be, but we have a plan.
Jim, what's the basic goal here? And I'll say this, and if you don't want to get political on me, you don't have to. Leave it to me. I got broad shoulders. I'll take the heat. But I would say that the farce and the completely fictitious attitude that Obamacare is going to be the savior for everybody, no, it's not, because people still have to come up with the money to pay the government. And I think what you're doing is opening up a window for those that just absolutely are going to still be pushed under the bus.
Absolutely. Obamacare is not the answer. And we've come, I think, as a society and culture, we're realizing that. And here's my thought on with this free medical clinic. You look back in the history of our country. Who were the ones that pioneered medical care? Who were the ones that pioneered hospitals? Church, faith-based, religious groups.
That's right.
That said, we have to make a difference because the government it's not their place. They will fail us every time. And we're going to be that stabilizing force that's going to be the engine behind our country. And in that model, that's exactly what we're endeavoring to do is those that can afford insurance, we're not going to be competing with our hospitals. We're not going to be competing with the folks that can pay, but those who can't, where do they go?
Absolutely. Jim, let me ask you these questions then, because I'm very naive and uninformed as to basically what kind of a clinic per se you're going to be running. What kind of health care and or medicinal care are you going to be providing, and where and at what times?
We're going to start at the level that we're comfortable with, and that's small. And it's going to be located in Burley, in the old hospital portion. It's going to be in the South Central District Health Clinic department itself. They have offered free space to us. We're going to be open one day a week to start off with on a Wednesday evening, from 6 to 8 or thereabouts. That's the model that we're looking at right at this point. And from there, it is for the uninsured. As far as the care that's going to be given, obviously, if they need an appendectomy, we can't perform that, and we're going to have to refer them to ER. But let's say you have a sore throat. Let's say you have strep throat, and it's a 25-cent pill is going to heal that, or a $4 prescription is going to be that's going to carry them through to health. That's what we're after.
Absolutely.
Is those ones that would end up in the emergency room, costing our county and our state through the indigent fund thousands of dollars every year. Folks who have no insurance. That's our real target at this level. At this point.
Well, Jim, as you and I well know, and God bless you, and I mean that seriously, for everything you're trying to do to help those that are in need. And there again, I want to emphasize, this is a free clinic for those that are in need. And not all of our brothers and sisters have been blessed with a job. Not all of our brothers and sisters have been blessed with health insurance. Not all of our brothers and sisters have been blessed with perhaps the ability to go out and try to better their situation. And they're really kind of hanging on by their fingernails, and that's where you come in with this free clinic.
That's where we come in. Absolutely.
Well, now, do you have certain times that it's going to be open, or will it be a 24/7? What is it?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to start, and we don't have an exact target date yet. We've had to take a step back. We we want to have a sustainable clinic that is long-lasting in our community. We don't want to be just a flash in the pan and, start something that's not maintainable. We were contacted through the Rural Health Department of the state of Idaho.
Yeah.
There was a national consulting group that has selected us to be the prize child or the poster child, let's call it, for free clinics around our state and around our nation. This consulting group called ECHO is coming in next week, next Thursday evening, to meet with us as a group, to meet with us as a community, to make sure that we have covered each and every step to make sure this it's sustainable.
Okay.
So we've moved our opening date back. We were looking in the month of October. We're going to push it out a little bit so that we can verify that every step has been, every dot, and every T crossed.
Okay.
To maintain. So we're going to endeavor to be open one day a week on a Wednesday evening, at the 5 to 6 o'clock hour to 8 o'clock in the evening.
Well, what about the fact, and I'm running out of time here, but I want to make sure I emphasize this. In order to do this, I'm sure that you're going to need people. What about volunteers?
Oh, I need volunteers. I need helpers. And let me just give you a run-through list real quick of who we're looking for that we would love to invite to this meeting on the 26th at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Mountain View Christian Center location. We need church leaders. We need other physicians and nurses and pharmacists and social workers. We need volunteer coordinators. We need folks that love marketing, love the media. We need IT professionals. We need hospital representatives, public health officials. We need our local and state government officials, accountants, attorneys, club members, service members, Rotary, Kiwanis, you name it. We need volunteers. We have a medical director. We have our medical staff in place. We need people that love this passion, would love this vision, and say, you can count on me to do whatever I can do.
Let me ask you this. One group of people that I think always gets looked over, and I think it's unfortunate because they can provide so much help and aid to various projects in the community, are the senior citizens.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. In fact, the Office of Aging is involved with this in our local area, and they're right with us.
Okay. Now, give us some numbers as to where and who they can call, Jim.
Okay, call, if you would like some more information about this, call myself, Jim Powell, or Dan Hendricks. He's one of our staff pastors and also involved in the clinic itself.
You know, that guy can sing. Did you know that?
Boy, that boy can just sing, I'll tell you. Yes, sir. The number to call is 208-678-5460.
Okay. Now, I'm going to put the onus on you that you better keep in touch with us and let us know how it's going. Anything else we can do, it's your ball game. You tell us and we'll put it on the air.
I appreciate it, Zeb. Thank you so much.
What's the sermon for Sunday going to be?
You know, I've been preaching through the entire Bible. I take a book at a time, and so I'm in the book of Ephesians, New Testament book, chapter 5.
There you go, buddy. Well, I tell you what, Ephesians is a great, great chapter of the Bible. Have fun with it, and I hope everybody helps you, Jim. And one more time, give us that number.
208-678-5460.
Pastor Jim Powell, Mountain View Christian Center. Jim, great job. Call us back.
We'll do it, buddy. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Good folks right there looking for volunteers. I got to pay some bills here real quick. I want to remind you about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. September super savings. Holy smokes, I'm telling you, they got rhino-proof carpet. They've got splits-proof carpet. What do you mean, splits-proof? Well, I got to tell you a little story in case you're not aware of it. Brent Lee gave me about, a 10 by 12 piece of carpet, and I put it out in splits as pen here about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And splits... Splits lived on it. Let's just put it that way. And they took that carpet and they cleaned it, and you couldn't tell it from brand new carpeting. And it was out in that pen for holy buckets, 3-4 weeks? I thought there's no way. Well, let me tell you, the Smart Strand carpet really came through. Lifetime stain resistance, lifetime anti-static, 25 years abrasive wear, 15 years texture retention. Woohoo! All there at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You check out the carpeting and everything else at Lee's Furniture. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, are you right there by your telephone, or your microphone? You can be there by your telephone, too, if you want to be.
Can I be by the telephone, too?
Well, pick up both. Put the phone in your ear and put the microphone near your mouth, and we'll make sure that we cover all the bases.
You got it.
I want to get into a subject, and you can chime in for this half hour, but I've picked a subject this morning that possibly will make some people a little mad, but that's okay because I'm not going to back off. You know me.
Yes.
But I think that our whole society is turning into a bunch of wussies and absolute mollycoddlers that they can't do anything. They're afraid they might scratch their finger. Oh, I don't want to do that. I might get hurt. I think our whole society is absolutely becoming a whining, complaining, absolutely effeminate state of affairs.
The age of entitlement. We are a country of entitlement.
Well, let me go one step further.
Okay.
I absolutely am an adamant critic of those that think right now football should be stopped.
What?
I'm not kidding. No, I'm not kidding.
Really?
And I know your feelings on this, and both of us are prejudiced, but I have with me many, many facts this morning that I will be glad to share with anybody that wants to argue with me.
Okay.
But I am absolutely sickened by the people that are unknowledgeable and misinformed that are behind the bandwagon right now saying that football is too dangerous and it's getting worse. It is not. No. There are less injuries in football today than there ever have been in the sport of football because of great strides of new equipment and safer methods of training.
Yeah.
And I'm getting really sick and tired of football being criticized because I'm going to say this and I'm going to stand behind it. I don't think there is a sport, and I've played all of them, there is a sport that teaches men to be more manly and more macho any more than the game of football, and it teaches, I think, better teamwork and a better structure for following the rules and working as a team.
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but Little Kennedy just started flag football.
Good for him.
First game was last night. And it was so cute to watch little boys, paying attention to the coach, trying to do what they're supposed to do. And none of them know really what they're doing, but they're out there having fun. It's bonding. It is male bonding time. It is for them to learn a sport, and it's structured, and it builds teamwork, and it builds within themselves a sense of pride that, hey, I can do this, and I can play this position, or I can play that position. And this is coming from a mom's perspective, and of course I'm a huge football fan, have been for years, and I think honestly that football and those type of sports are good for our little boys.
Yes,
why?
ma'am.
Because it does teach them how to be tougher and to I got a hangnail. Shake it off, boy.
Take a hit and keep on ticking. Yeah. Put your Timex in the closet. Here we go.
Because they've got the pads. They've got and not right now, but he will. But they've got the pads. They've got the helmets. They've got more protection now than they have ever had in any sort of organized sport.
There are those that want to change it, though. There are those that want to wussify it, and there are those that want to take the NFL and they want to turn it into a flag football game. No. I'm serious. There are those out there, and I've got some statistics here that will blow your mind in just a minute. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
It should be stopped.
Why?
For girls.
What?
Oh, for girls, he's saying. Girls in football.
Oh, it should be stopped for girls? What are you talking about?
Well, the girls shouldn't be playing football.
Absolutely not. I agree with you. I think that there is an absolute line not to be crossed when you put girls on the same football field as boys. I am adamant against this. I've advocated this, whether it's football and especially whether it's wrestling. There should be a line of separation there that girls absolutely cannot play with the boys. Never in the history of America can you tell me of where we've seen the opposite happen, to where boys have tried to apply to play in girls' sports. They'd be laughed out of town. Why should we always allow girls to try to infiltrate boys' sports?
That's the way I feel.
God bless you for bringing it up. I appreciate it, Fred.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'm going to stand behind this. I am sick and tired of seeing the females always want to beg, borrow, cheat, and steal to get into boys' sports, and the opposite doesn't happen. I'm fed up with it. But I want to say this. You parents out there that want, in Gooding especially, they changed the rules so that their 5th and 6th grade girls could play with the boys. I find that offensive. I find that totally offensive, and I find it to the point where I mentioned the other day, we watched the Little League Baseball World Series, and some of these kids have really got some size to them. One of the pitchers for California was 6'4", 199 pounds, and he was only 13 years old, and he was just slender, no fat, nothing. This kid was built. You want to put that kind of a male up against a female? Not going to happen. I'm adamantly opposed to any girls infiltrating, and that's what it is, boys' sports.
That's why they created the Powder Puffs division, for the girls themselves. If enough girls want to get out there and play, create a girls' team, create a girls' league. I'm absolutely for that. However, me being on the female gender side, it's kind of fun to get out there and play with the boys and everything, but boy, howdy, you're going to get yourself hurt.
Yeah, but
we are not physically built to handle that.
That's right. And the other thing is, why in the world did we as taxpayers have to subject ourselves to the Title IX money that was given and afforded to all the universities to equalize the benefits and the money for girls' sports? This infiltration sickens me. Why did we spend the money, Gina?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't know.
Okay, that's my point of contention. But I want to get back to football here for just a minute, because there have been so many wusses out there that want to change the sport, and they say it's so dangerous. Let me give you a couple of statistics that I can stand behind.
All right.
In the 90-plus years of the NFL, the National Football League, there has never, underline that word never, been a player who died from a collision. The NHL can't make that claim. Hockey League can't make that claim. The Winter X Games can't make that claim. NASCAR can't make that claim. Horse racing can't make that claim. And Major League Baseball can't even make that claim. Every single one of those other sports has had deaths attributed to the playing field.
And then this is because I don't know. Somebody got hit with a fast pitch and
that's
knocked
right.
Him out. Okay.
That's right. That's right. And I'm just saying that this wussification of America. Oh, and by the way, may I also say something to you?
Sure.
30 skateboarders died from collisions last year.
I can see that too. With some of the tricks that they're doing on the half pipes and whatever it is that they're doing, and they're skating on concrete. And when you go up and you're doing flips and doing whatever and you land, you're going to crash. And if you land wrong, you can die.
Here's the problem as I see it with athletics. And there are those in the audience that say, I don't care about athletics. All athletics should be stopped. Wait a minute. And this is where you've raised the hackles on the back of my neck.
Okay.
We're preaching and we're exhorting everybody to go out and try to be more energy efficient with our bodies and not become obese slobs, are we not?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then why are we also in the same breath, many of you in the audience are saying, condemn and do away with team sports?
I don't want them to condemn and do away with team sports. It builds sportsmanship. It teaches everybody how to work within a system. Everybody has a role to play, so it builds teamwork. it offers so much to the psyche of our little ones and for those who continue on with the sport. It's something that we should not take away. I mean, I was in basketball, volleyball, tennis, track, you name it. If it was available to me, I was in it because, number one, it got me out of the house and I was doing something positive. Number two, it kept me active. It kept me in shape. Number three, I had a ball doing it. Number four, it taught me teamwork, and it taught me, the structure and the hierarchy of a team. It builds so much more. And it builds a foundation for our youth to succeed in life.
Okay.
It really does.
But there's another activity interest here.
Okay.
Why do people, and this is true, whether it's football, whether it's Little League Baseball, whether it is hockey, whether it's horseback riding, whether it's rodeo, people are always out there saying, I can't let Johnny do that. Why, my goodness, he might get hurt, or little Susie might have something happen to her. Do you realize that every single thing we do, from the time we set our little footsies out of the bed in the morning, carries a risk?
Yeah.
And if you put people in a bubble, how are you ever going to live? How are you ever going to achieve? How are you ever going to enjoy the fruits of what God has given us on this great earth to enjoy life? I mean, every human activity carries a risk with it.
And that boils down to the parenting. Moms and dads, you have to understand that at some point in time, you're going to have to let little Susie or little Johnny get out there and experience life for themselves.
Amen.
You cannot always protect them, or they're not going to learn a thing.
Absolutely. Do we have a call?
Yes, you do.
Okay, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
And another thing, they need to keep score.
Oh, you have touched one of my panic mad buttons.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
These parents, and you are 199% right. These parents that say, it puts too much pressure on the children to keep score. Well, you parents are dim-witted twits, because I'll guarantee you one thing. Life is keeping score. Getting a job is keeping score. Getting an education is keeping score. Getting anywhere in life is keeping score to try to be the best you can be so you can enjoy the fruits of everything God's given you.
Well, you take our founding fathers like Franklin and Edison and those guys. Had they not failed, they would not have succeeded.
This attitude, caller, of everybody's a winner, everybody gets a blue ribbon, my goodness, that's one of the reasons we've got the problems in society that we have today. Nobody realizes, I got a white ribbon, evidently I'm not very good. Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you should try harder, and maybe next year you'll get a blue ribbon, but you damn sure didn't deserve it now.
That's true. You should get what you give. And that's life. You get out of life what you put in it. And you get out of your job what you put in it. If you put in it and do a good job, you're going to get raises and you're going to get promoted.
Yeah, and here, this idiocy, and that's what it is, idiocy from the liberal left, these wing nuts that say, well, let's not keep score, let's take down all the scoreboards, everybody's the same, let's just go have a good time, and when it's over, we'll make chocolate s'mores and sing Kumbaya and sit by a fire and everybody hold hands. Oh, that makes me want to barf.
Well, I didn't mean get your blood pressure up, but that's one...
Oh, thanks a lot. Now I got to take some medication at 11 o'clock. Thank you.
Have a great day.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Not keep score. For Pete's sakes, what kind of a society? Oh, well, we can't hurt their feelings. Well, let's not keep score. You're doggone right. There should be winners and losers, and then maybe the losers will appreciate they got to try harder. You're not going to make it through life just by having everybody give something to you.
Well, okay, so last night, I'm going to refer back again to the flag football game. Very first game ever played. And, of course, these are kindergartners and first graders. And honestly, I don't know if we kept score. I was kind of keeping a mental score, and I think the white team beat the red. Of course, white team, my son's on the white team. But right now, for them, it's teaching them sportsmanship and teaching them skill. Now,
you can do that by winning and losing, I think, also.
You can as well.
Absolutely.
And so I think, in the parents' minds, we knew who won, we knew who lost, but the boys had a great time, and they all thought that they had won the game. And that is fine with me. But, once we get into the actual playing, that's when it's like, okay, son, you go out there and you try your hardest and you do your best and you focus on what you have to do. And maybe you did lose the game, but as long as you put forth your 100% effort, then you did a good job.
God only gives us so much time on this earth. Okay? And only so much time for Gina Jameson, and there's only so much time for Zeb Bell.
Yep.
And I'm looking over my left shoulder right now at my better days. I mean, I'm 65 years old, going to be soon to be 66. But you know something? I've made a vow, and thank God for a lovely, dedicated wife. I made a vow that I am going to keep on going at everything I did when I was 30, I'm still doing now at 66. I'm going to go till the motor blows. I'm going to go and I'm going to try to win. I'm going to go where they keep score. I'm going to go and pay an entry fee and keep on competing. I'm going to keep on going because God gave me a short window of opportunity to enjoy life to the fullest. And this mamby-pamby sicko attitude, everybody's a winner, that is barnyard fecal material.
How can you teach pride and how can you teach excellence and the drive to excel if everybody's a winner?
You can't. That is exactly the point. You take all these blue ribbons and they get out of college, and what then? What then? They expect the world to give them everything because they're all winners.
Not everybody's a winner.
There you go. Okay, use you as an example. Okay. All right, single mom.
Yep.
Now, if you didn't have a competitive spirit, you just sit back and say, hey, it's cool. Government's going to support me.
But see, that's not me.
I'm
extremely competitive, and I am extremely independent, and sometimes pride gets in my way, but dang it, if I am going to get out there every day, give my 100% to make sure that I make it happen, not only for me, but for my family. And I put myself through college, not once, but twice.
There you go.
I am out there every day, and I might not win every battle, but I know that I have given my 100% every day. And some days I get the blue ribbon, and some days I get no ribbon at all. But
and some days you hear the gong go off.
Yes, some days it's like, get her off stage left, get her off. But, we have to have that drive. We have to have that competitive spirit. Now, granted, not everybody is competitive.
Oh, wait a minute. To a certain extent, I'll buy that, but not 100%. The reason I say that is I think that there has to be a competitive nature in almost every single person to achieve anything in life. If you want to be a sponge and you want to just absorb what life might hand you, that's not going to cut the cake. We've seen that. There has to be some kind of a competitive advantage in people to go out like Bill Gates and want to keep doing better and bigger things with computers. There had to be something better for Nelson Mandela. There had to be something better for Martin Luther King Jr. There had to be something better for all these people, Jack Kennedy, name them. They all had a competitive spirit to go for the prize at the top of the ladder and not accept all the junk on the bottom rung of the ladder.
But there are those few, and you're going to admit this, that there are those few who, never mind.
I agree with you.
I can't do it, so why even bother?
But isn't that what we're teaching these kids when everybody's a winner? We're telling them that everybody's the same. Well, not everybody is the same.
Not everybody is the same. And even my son, he has these little moments of clarity where he's like, Mom, there are days where, I won and I got the trophy, but there are days, Mom, where I don't deserve the trophy. And so he, in his 6-year-old little mind, he's putting all of this stuff together.
Absolutely.
Proud.
And you, I know you well enough. Oh, I know you well enough that if Kennedy deserves kind of a swift kick in the posterior with a pair of Justin boots, you're going to give it to him to go and try to achieve and go and try to reach the top rung of the ladder for success. And that is I'm very proud of you as a mom for doing that.
Thank you. And, because he is going to be an extension of me, and so I want to make sure that he's got the drive, that he understands. You put your hardest effort out there, and it will come back to you. If you're going to sit there and be lazy on your bum, you're not going to get anything.
Well, I don't care if it's in the school. I don't care if it's in a mathematics competition. Oh, my goodness, mathematics competition. Oh, what about a spelling bee? Oh, my goodness, we're talking about competition. What about a science fair? Oh, we're talking about somebody really putting forth an effort to come up with maybe a better way to split the atom. I mean, it's all competition, Gina.
It is all competition, but we have those out there that don't want to make it the competition.
And they're leeches on society.
Thank you, because they just... oh, well, you know, I did my best.
Yeah.
And so,
I get a blue ribbon anyway because I sat here on the bench and picked my nose.
And so for those who are actually out there trying their hardest, giving their 100%, and they are put into the same category and they got the same blue ribbon that somebody who just kind of eked their way through it, it does nothing.
Absolutely. And actually, it denigrates and brings down the winners that really put forth the effort.
And it makes them not want to put forth that effort anymore, because if they're giving their 100% and another person isn't, and they both end up on the same level, those that are the achievers, that want to be the achievers, they're going to give up.
Oh, I hope the liberals are listening this morning. I hope they're on their knees and pulling their hair out and gnashing their teeth and beating their fists into the floor going, damn him!
You've got a phone call.
I bet I do. Can I do the weather first?
Yes, you may.
Caller, bear with me. I'm on one of my tirades. I'll be right with you. Stand by. I got to calm down and say this. Our weather is brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls, historic Old Town Twin Falls location since 1936. The very best on all your guns and ammo and all your accessories are at Red's Trading Post. Great customer service. Stop in and see Ryan Horsley and the rest of the crew today at Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls. Here's Michael with the weather.
Hello, everybody. Michael Rogers for Michael Rogers Weather. For the Magic Valley, possibly might not see anything as far as rain or thunderstorm, but I think you might see something later on this evening. The cold front should be hitting the area somewhere between 8 and 10 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, look for a mostly sunny day with temperatures in the low 80s, 81. The wind's going to be out of the northwest at about 8 to 10 miles an hour. Cloudy tonight with a low around 49. Otherwise, be advised, there is a cold front pulling through the Magic Valley of south central Idaho. The most you could possibly get out of it will be some gusty winds. I would not be surprised if you did get a thunderstorm also. So have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb. Talking about academics, I didn't do good in high school. I was just a goof off. And I didn't get a blue ribbon. I didn't get A's. And I had to go back years later and finish, but I used to get my report cards, and I thought F's were for a future. But I didn't have a future without an education.
I appreciate your honesty and your...
all the same, otherwise everybody would graduate, everybody would go on as the same type of knowledge.
Yeah. It took a lot of nerve. It takes a lot of you-know-what to call a radio program and acknowledge your shortcomings, and I've got nothing but utmost respect for you for saying that. But I
had to pull on my own bootstraps later and say, you know what, this ain't going to happen unless you make it happen.
There you go.
Suck it up and correct your problem and get serious with life.
Would you say that this is my own verbiage, but would you say that competition breeds a personal responsibility that can propel you into success?
Absolutely. I had 3 girls that played sports, and they enjoyed winning, and sometimes they enjoyed losing, but they knew they went out and tried their best.
Yeah. I'll just share this.
If their best that team, their best that game was a loss, they knew they needed to suck it up and try harder, do something different.
Try harder. Those are 2 key words right there, and it could be regarding education, it could be regarding politics, it could be regarding athletics. Try harder. Amen, sir.
T-ball games, and I don't know. I've got a couple grandkids playing T-ball, and there's no score. So they're out there not. Yeah, they're young. They're not out there paying attention, but I think it would propel them to pay more attention and listen to the coach a little more.
Amen. I could not agree with you more. Your verbiage was absolutely spot on. I salute you. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, Jim.
God bless you. He said it. They learn by winning. They learn by losing. You learn from your mistakes. You learn from your achievements. You learn sportsmanship either way, winning and or losing. And I'm sick and tired of these bleeding heart liberals. Oh, we can't keep score. It's going to mess their psyche up. Oh,
you know what?
Baloney.
Sometimes losing hurts. Honestly, I'll admit it. Losing hurts. I hate to lose, but that makes my drive even stronger to make sure that I get out there and give my 100% so that I will win. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. You know, as long as I know that I'm giving my 100% and I'm coming out on top, I'm doing good. If I give my 100% and I'm losing, then I didn't try hard enough, so I need to put a little bit more dedication into it.
I will share this with you quickly before I take the call. And we're good enough friends that you know me and you know my wife very well.
Yeah.
The doctors, went to my parents when I was age 16, and they said, you have your son, and he will be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life.
Yep.
Now, let me just ask you this. You ain't seen me wheeling into anywhere, have you?
And you want to know why? Because the doctors probably told you that. And in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, heck, too.
Oh, they said I'd never be able to ride a horse. They said I'd never be able to do this. I'd never be able to do that. And you know something? Don't tell me I never will or can't, because I will not step around you. I'll step over you.
And see, that's where you and I are so much alike. Somebody tells me you can't, you won't. And I'm like, want to bet?
Yep.
Watch me.
You betcha. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Mr. Competition and Miss Competition.
Good morning. Games without scores are called practice. And that's fine. Come on, kids, we're going to go practice against Team A or Team B. Next time, it's going to be a game. There will be a score. There will be a winner. There will be a loser. This time, we're going out for practice. What's wrong with something like that?
What do you feel, honestly, as a mom or a grandmother, anything, about this society that we really are starting to wussify our kids? Oh, we can't put the pressure on them. Oh, everybody's a winner. Oh, everybody gets a blue ribbon. This is absolute insanity. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was a 4-H leader for about 15 years and have been involved with the program close to 30. So I think it's rotten. I think our kids need to enter something in the fair and you get what you get. There used to be white ribbons and kids couldn't sell.
Yeah, now let me ask you this.
There's no white ribbons anymore.
Yeah, as a 4-H leader, there's a perfect example right there. I'm glad you mentioned that. I remember in 4-H my first couple of years, boy, I didn't put forth a very good effort. My project book looked like a war zone. I didn't take all the information and put it in there. And my dad and mother, they took me off to the side and they said, you're not belonging to 4-H next year. You're not going to do anything unless you put forth a better effort and really show that you deserve any awards. And I'll tell you what, that was the best thing that ever was told to me. I'm sick and tired of this Danish system about giving everybody a ribbon. The heck with it. Cut down on expenses and give the kids ribbons that deserve it and tell the other ones to go home and try harder.
Well, exactly. And we had a little grandson one time that threw just a screaming meanie fit in the show ring, and his mom and dad, he got knocked down and stepped on. He was a little bitty thing, and threw this little fit, and his mom and dad made him stay in that ring, and he threw this fit. And afterwards, they made him go up and shake hands and apologize to the judge, and it was the best lesson he's ever had in his record book.
God bless you. Thank you very much.
My goal is to be a better sportsman, and he accomplished that 150%.
You have been
the best lesson. He will never forget it.
Amen. And I want to say thanks for calling this morning. I got to do a commercial break before the news, but you call again, would you please? Thank you. God bless you. Let's ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Get the engines going. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and it's where the fun is sold. Oh, my goodness. They've got all the 2014 bikes coming in right now, dirt bikes, street bikes, all the ATVs, everything. And they've got the Can-Am 4-seater side-by-side and the Yamaha Viking side-by-side. Oh, and a great, great service department. You stop in today. It is where the fun is sold. Let's ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Well, Gina, I'm sure that we won't be getting Christmas cards from a certain facet of our audience this year.
Well,
but,
as long as we get blue ribbons, we'll be okay.
Oh,
right?
give me a blue ribbon, please. I'll give you a blue ribbon, and you give me a blue ribbon, and we won't keep score.
And we will all be happy.
Yeah, we'll all sing songs around the campfire. I can't wait. Oh, doesn't that just turn your stomach?
I can understand the whole point of fairness is, because I'm a mom and I'm a tender heart, and I get that. But when you get into the real world and you get right into reality, there's winners and there's losers, babe.
Amen. Tell that to the people that occupied Boise.
Yeah.
I got to go.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, see you in 6. Okay, welcome back. Third hour, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Hello, all 7 locations, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and, of course, our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, 734-6969. Hey, don't forget, I want to tell you real quick about the Chadwick Sports Grill. Ooh, good eating. Delicious luncheon specials every Monday through Friday, $5.95. $5.95? The best deal in town. And senior citizen dinner specials for those 60 and over, Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., $5.95. I'm not kidding. And today they're going to have sweet and sour meatballs over fried rice and super salad. Ooh, that sounds good. Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Ladies and gentlemen, it's raining outside. It's a dark, dark night. And on a deserted country road, a driver spots an old man, an old hitchhiker, carrying a book down the roadway. He stops and rolls the window down and says, "Would you like a ride?" And the old man gets in and never says a word. And all of a sudden, after about 5 or 6 miles, the old man looks at the driver and said, "Let me out right here." And the driver says, "Why, we're in the middle of nowhere. Why here?" And the old man says, "We're not in the middle of anywhere. We're in the middle of history. Here is Dr. History."
Another good one, Zeb. How you doing?
I'm tired after all that.
That took a lot of effort. I'm proud of you.
Well, you ought to be, doggone you.
That was one of the better ones.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for Dr. History, brought to you by the new CSI Sage Truck Driving School in Burley. 878-5802. With our dear friend Lucky Bourne, you can become a professional truck driver. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Doing great. Had number 9 grandchild last Saturday, so we're growing.
You did personally, or hopefully it was a daughter-in-law?
It was a daughter.
Okay.
So we're safe.
All right. I think you had some homework from last week. What was it that you were supposed to do?
Santa Ana was 82 years old. He died in Mexico City and was pretty much kind of a has-been.
Yeah.
Really,
kind of a derelict,
really
wasn't he?
Well thought of when he died.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yep, so that was the end of him.
Yep, 82 and a has-been, which is better than a never was.
That's right.
Yeah,
yep. Yeah. So today, we're going to go to the Mountain Men era.
Uh-oh, look out for naked guys scaring Indians.
Not this time.
Okay.
This one is in 1832. There was a rendezvous, and probably the biggest one that was ever held at a place called Pierre's Hole in Idaho, which is in the west side of the Tetons.
Really?
A lot of people think of Jackson Hole, but this is Pierre's Hole, and a hole was basically referred to as a kind of an open meadow-type area where there was water and game and one thing and another where they could meet, but it had to be a big area.
Yeah.
So Pierre's Hole is on the west side of there. So now William Sublett had arrived with a pack train all the way from St. Louis, and the trappers and the mountain men who worked with the Rocky Mountain Fur Company, they were in good spirits because they had outdistanced and out-trapped the American Fur Company, which was their rival. Now, there was only one thing that was kind of diminishing their pleasure, and that was the fact that
old Tom Fitzgerald, who was a veteran trapper and one of the partners in the Rocky Mountain Company, was missing. He had made the trip from St. Louis with Sublet, but he struck out on his own when they reached the area near present-day Casper, a place called Red Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this had been 18 days before, and he had planned to go ahead of Sublet into Pierre's Hole and make sure everything was ready, that the trappers were on hand and ready for the festival and the trade. So the question, what happened to Tom Fitzgerald? Well, he was an important guy. I mean, he was the mountain man of the West. And no one could believe that he'd met with an accident or death, and so they figured he must have been holed up somewhere or wandering around the mountains, and someone suggested as a precaution, maybe they ought to send out some search parties just in case something had happened to the guy. So now let's go back to Fitzgerald. Like I say, he had left Sublet planning on going ahead, and he was pretty confident. He was optimistic. He'd begun his journey from Red Bluffs. He had made the trip a lot of times, and he was thoroughly familiar with the route. But Fitzgerald was kind of a loner. He believed that a man traveling by himself could travel faster and safer. He could choose his own trail, set his own pace, stop when he wanted to without any obligation or consulting with a partner or several guys. And then from a safety standpoint, obviously, one man can hide from a group of Indians a lot better than a party of men.
Yeah, but I would much rather have 2 or 3 or 4, maybe 175 guys there in case there's an attack.
I tend to agree with you there. Like I said, these guys, these mountain men, we've talked before, they were a different breed.
Oh, yeah.
Altogether.
Yeah.
So, anyway, like I say, he was kind of, I'm going to say maybe a little overconfident, but for the first 3 or 4 days, he made good time up the valley of the Sweetwater, living on jerky and pemmican. He didn't build any cook fires because, that might be detected by the Blackfeet Indians, and they were always dangerous. And like I say, he kind of got a little maybe overconfident, and he crossed South Pass, and he hadn't encountered any Indians, friendly or otherwise. So there was no warnings, that had been sent out from the rendezvous. So, he was feeling pretty good about this. One day he was a little tired and a little saddle sore, and he decided to rest and eat at the same time. And so he was leisurely chewing away on a good-sized hunk of jerky when he heard a little snorting and scuffling and of shale rock behind him. He turned around and saw a great big huge grizzly bear bearing down on him at full speed. Now, recognizing that this was probably too late to establish a good relationship with this bear, he decided that he would abandon his jerky and run for his horse.
Why would one want to establish a good relationship with a bear? Please explain that to me.
That's just what I'm reading here. That's what the story says. He decided it wasn't a good time to start shaking hands and saying, "How are you?"
I believe it.
So here he is. Here's the bear chasing him. He's running towards his horse. Now, if you're the horse, you're thinking, okay, I'm not looking like this is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the horse had a mind of its own and decided to take off for other parts of the country, and Fitzgerald, he already had one foot in the stirrup, but was basically deposited flat on his back.
This is not good.
No. Fortunately, though, the grizzly bear stopped to investigate the big hunk of jerky that Fitzgerald had been chewing on, and it gave him time to grab his rifle and kill the bear.
Oh, a good end to the story.
Yeah. So, but the saga continues. Do you want to do your ad right now, Zeb?
Well, I just can't. I thought you'd never ask. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I can do it. I'm just shaking in anticipation to find out what happened to the bear and the jerky. Hold on just one moment. Would you like to start earning $30,000 to $40,000 a year in as little as 4 or 5 weeks? Well, then you'd better call Lucky Bourne right now at CSI's new Sage Truck Driving School in Burley. And they've got new lower prices for their 4-week program. And if you're having trouble with tuition money, just give Lucky a call and they can explain the Sage student loan option. All of this and more for helping you to become a professional truck driver. You call Lucky Bourne right now at the new CSI Truck Driving School in Burley, 878-5802. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as the saga continues, here's Dr. History and the story of Smokey the Bear.
Smokey the Bear is now dead.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so the next day, Tom begins his descent of the divide, following one of the streams that cascade down the side of the drainage area, and it's a canyon with high walls. Now, Fitzgerald realizes that this could be a dangerous place to be caught, because if you're in a kind of a narrow canyon, you really can't go left or right. And he kind of hesitated, but to turn back meant losing a lot of valuable time, and he wanted to get to the rendezvous. So he was a little wary. He was a little concerned about this, but as he was going down this narrow canyon down in the bottom, all of a sudden he was aware of the presence of some Indians.
Oh, no, wait a minute. I got to ask a question.
Okay.
I'm assuming, by the way you're talking, that he had recaptured his horse.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just worried
he was
about
on
it.
horseback.
Okay. And the bear's dead, right?
What's that?
And the bear's dead.
The bear's dead.
And the bear had eaten all the jerky.
Had eaten up most of the jerky.
Whew, I got that cleared up. Okay.
So here he is. He becomes aware of some Indians, a band of Gross Ventures Indians. They came galloping around the bend in the canyon, and so all of a sudden, Tom decides he better take off.
I would imagine.
Now, keep in mind, he's been on this horse that had been ridden hard during the long trip clear from Missouri.
Oh, my goodness.
So this horse was not in, top shape, and so anyway, he took off on the run, but not before he got spotted by the Indians. So the chase was on.
Oh, boy.
Now, for a short time, despite this hard climb up the canyon, Fitzgerald actually lengthened the distance between him and the Indians. But pretty soon, and you've been on horses, pretty soon you can tell your horse is kind of getting tired.
Yeah.
And so he began looking for some kind of escape from the Indians.
Uh-huh.
Now, so again, he was aware that the Indians would eventually wear down his tired horse, and Fitzgerald decided on a pretty desperate move.
I think I know what it is, but I'm not about to share this cliffhanger.
Okay, all right. So urging his horse to the limit of its endurance, he came around a sharp bend, and he started looking over the sheer cliff walls on his left and on his right, and pretty soon he saw a little spot. I guess that's all we could call it. And he made up his mind. So leaving his horse on the run, he landed on a stone that could not show traces of any footprint, and he bounced up the hillside before his pursuers could come around the bend. Well, this little spot opened up into a small cave.
Uh-oh.
Now, this little cave had been kind of a winter home for some wild animals, but it safely concealed him from the Indians, and he watched them just go by one right after another, chasing after his horse. So, as soon as they went by, he hurried up and grabbed a bunch of leaves and branches and pulled it in front of the cave. So here he is inside this dark interior of the cave, and he pulled, like I say, branches and leaves and stuff in front of it. Well, pretty soon he heard the yells announcing that they had captured his horse, and then the Indians began to search for him.
Uh-oh.
Now, it wasn't just the braves. They got the whole village, men, women, and children. They arrived, and they took turns exploring every possible place that he could be hiding.
Oh, this is where
the camouflage was so effective that no one suspected where he was.
Oh, my.
Because, like I say, he pulled these branches and old leaves in front of him, and there were several times that they stopped so close to the cave, he could have actually reached out and touched them.
Whew.
So he's within arm's length of these guys looking for him. And I don't know, it kind of surprised me they didn't see this cave, but must have been pretty well hid.
Yeah.
And probably just a small, crawl-in type cave.
Yeah, a bear cave.
Yeah, a small bear.
Yeah.
But anyway, as each hour passed, pretty soon the smell got pretty bad. I mean, this cave wasn't ventilated. There was old bones and pieces of rotted flesh on the floor, and it almost became too much for old Fitzgerald, but not enough. I mean, he'd seen the treatment that some white men had when captured by the Indians. So bad as the air was, old Fitzgerald, he was still a free man, and he intended to remain so. Now, by this time, he was starting to get a little thirsty, and he was getting a little hungry, but he stayed in his hideout until the Indians called off their search that evening. Well, late that night, he made an attempt to escape, figuring the Indians would camp upstream. Well, they didn't.
Oh, those sneaky Indians.
Yeah, and so he made his way to a small stream and was able to get a drink of water, and then he headed downstream. Well, there were the Indians. So he headed back to his cave. Well, the morning of the second day, the Indians started searching again. They were just really looking for this guy. They knew he had to be there. And so they sent the young kids, the young guys up along the walls of the canyon. The older people were watching, and again, they didn't find him. So, and again, he was getting pretty thirsty and pretty hungry. Well, finally the Indians decided that somehow he'd gotten away and made his escape, so they abandoned their search, and they turned their attention to the ordinary camp life that they did. And Fitzgerald had a kind of a nice view of the Indian camp, and he actually watched his horse win several races that they were having by the guy who had gotten his horse. So late that second night, he again slipped out of hiding. He detoured around the village, and this time he traveled as far as he possibly could. Okay, now he's not out of this yet.
I didn't think so.
He hid himself in a thicket near the creek, and the same Indians came by as a hunting party, but they'd forgotten about him by now, so he was pretty safe.
Won't they ever leave him alone?
Well, he goes farther than that, but so the third night he resumed his travels, and he followed a creek to the point where it emptied into a bigger stream. And he figured, I got to get out of here, so he built himself a kind of a crude raft. He got on it with his rifle and had a bag with ammunition and some other necessities, but he was kind of anxious to escape, and he kind of misjudged the strength of this stream, and his improvised raft was carried downstream to the head of some rapids. Well, the whitewater raft had lifted that raft onto some rocks and just totally destroyed it.
Oh, my.
In the middle of the stream.
Mm-hmm.
So Fitzgerald made his way to shore. He lost everything except his shirt, his vest, a belt, and it had a sturdy Green River knife. Now, the knife is a good weapon at close quarters, but, if you're trying to kill a deer or an antelope or something, it just doesn't work.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, he was fully aware of his dim chances for survival, but he fought on for the next 2 days, fourth and fifth since his encounter. He made his way downriver toward the rendezvous, and he was living on roots, buds, trees, bushes, even weeds and grass. And he struggled on, getting weaker from hunger, and everything. And well, on the fifth day, he came upon a real feast. Well, wait a minute. No, let me back up. On the fifth evening, he was treed by some wolves. Okay, they circled the tree all night, tearing at the bark, clawing at the ground, bearing the roots to try to get the tree to fall down. So here he is spending the whole night up in a tree with these wolves after him.
See, that's all the more reason we shouldn't have brought those doggone wolves back to Idaho. I told you.
That's right. Okay, so finally the wolves left. So the next day, now he's going along and he finds the partially eaten remains of a buffalo that had been killed by the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's gorging himself on his first real meal, and this sounds like a real good meal, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But it gave him enough strength to carry on his struggle for survival. And anyway, the farther he descended the river, the more scant the vegetation grew, and he finally just collapsed. He just plain out collapsed. Well, I told you that they'd sent out some people from the rendezvous to try to find him, and sure enough, there were 2 Iroquois trappers that had gone out from the rendezvous, and they found him.
Oh, my.
Well, he was brought back to Pierre's Hole, and he was so out of it, he was kind of a raving lunatic. He couldn't answer any questions. He could hardly talk. His eyes wouldn't focus.
Sounds like a liberal from the Obama administration.
That's right. No intelligent answers to questions. Like I say, his eyes wouldn't focus. But like all mountain men, old Fitzgerald, he had good recuperative powers, and after several good meals of good old fat buffalo meat and rest, he recovered enough to tell the adventures of his past 18 days. Now, one thing, a distinguishing characteristic that happened was to mark him for the rest of his life, as a result of being the bear, the Indians, the wolves, his hair turned snow white.
Oh.
And that was Tom Fitzgerald, who, like I say, one of the original great mountain men, and that's why his hair turned white.
I'll be darned. Somewhere I had heard semblances of that story, and I wasn't sure about the name Tom Fitzgerald, but What was the mountain man, or who was the real person that ran his horse off a cliff? I mean, there's been movie depictions of this, but the Indians are after this guy, and supposedly he's a mountain man, and he ran his horse off a cliff into a mountain lake? You remember who that was?
You know, I don't. The only thing I can remember is the old movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Where
yeah.
Jumped off, but I don't know of a guy that ran his horse.
Yeah, they had good stuntmen for that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, this rendezvous was actually the biggest rendezvous that was held. It was actually over there by Driggs, and kind of in the area between Driggs and Teutonia, and actually there was an area of 7 square miles.
Oh, my.
They had 400 mountain men, 108 lodges of Nez Perce, 80 lodges of Flatheads, and over 3,000 horses.
Ooh.
And so this was probably the biggest rendezvous that ever took place anywhere. But, like I say, it's over there kind of on the west side. And kind of a sad note to this whole thing, after the rendezvous was over, you know, they had traded, they had gotten their goods, they had horse races with the Indians, and just pretty much had a good time. But on the way out, there was an incident that happened called the Battle of Pierre's Hole.
I remember that.
Okay, and unfortunately, there was a couple of trappers that shot one of the chief Indians, and they had a battle that took place.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it was kind of a bad deal because it was initiated by the trappers.
Yeah.
But about 26 Indians were killed, and about a dozen traders and trappers had been killed, and it was just due to, you know, kind of stupidity, really.
Yeah. Hey, we have a caller with a question real fast. We've only got a minute left. Caller, real quick, go.
Yes, hey, Zeb, I don't know if this would fit, but there's a book called 7 Miracles That Saved America. It's about how America came to be. I don't know if those would fit into the program, but it is truly amazing, those stories, and I'll hang up. Thanks.
If it'll fit, Dr. History will make it work.
Actually, I have heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think I may have that in my library. I just haven't read that. But
okay.
I'm familiar with that book. I just haven't read it yet.
I'll tell you what, now that was a good story. I appreciate that. Tom Fitzgerald, Mountain Man.
Yeah.
And his hair turned pure white, and they called him Snow White, and then he developed the 7 Dwarfs.
I don't think he'd do that to his face.
Okay.
Not with that knife he carries.
All right. Hey, you did it again. You hit a home run out of the park. Great story this morning.
Well, I always love these the mountain men guys. Like I said, they were a different breed.
Yeah, but every time you have a story about mountain men, they're always losing their clothes. What's going on here?
Well, you know, you discard the stuff you don't need, I guess.
I guess. There's a question of what you need and what you want, I'll tell you that.
That's right.
Anyway, Dr. History, God bless you for a wonderful story. Thanks for listening to Dr. History, brought to you by the new CSI Sage Truck Driving School in Burley with Lucky Bourne, 878-5802. And before we go, a little teaser for next week. What is the subject going to be?
You know, it's such a mystery that I just can't divulge that at this point.
That was smooth. That was smooth.
You have a good day, Zeb.
All right, God bless. Take care.
Bye.
Oh, I love that segment. Thank you very much. Dr. History. Don't forget Sportsman's Warehouse. Sportsman's. I got a fly here that just is driving me nuts. That son of a gun's going to have to go into the great beyond here in a second. Back to Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls, 737-9900. Quality gear for all the outdoorsmen. That's right, quality products for the serious outdoor enthusiast. And Sportsman's Warehouse is the great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Hunting, fishing, archery, camping, boating, everything right there at Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin Falls. We're going to take a little break, and I'm going to go kill a fly, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Don't go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. Last half hour of Zeb at the Ranch. And don't forget, too, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. water. Call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. At Ramsey's, they've sold warm winters and cool summers for over 55 years. Excuse me for choking on the air. We had an emergency this morning to where one of the guests we thought was going to be on the air this morning called and canceled, and I want to thank this gentleman, and I mean that sincerely, for his diligence in saying yes, he would come on and fill our half hour. He's one of my favorite guests anyway to have on the show, and that's, of course, Kyle Olson with EAGnews.org. Good morning, Kyle. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Boy, I'm tickled to have you, and I always enjoy the subject of education and what's going on. And I had just a little time this morning getting this information late about during the sequestration budget controversy, I guess Secretary of Education Arnie Duncan said, "Oh, Chicken Little, the sky's going to fall. The kids aren't going to have any classes, no teachers, nothing." But it really didn't work out that way, did it?
No, that's right. We did an open records request on the Federal Department of Education because one of the things that we like to look at is the amount of travel and the amount of spending, travel-related spending that goes on in school districts around the country. But then, we said, hey, let's look at what the Federal Department is doing. And we found during the sequestration, which, as you said, everyone was saying how schools are going to be slashed and teachers are going to be laid off and, all of that stuff. We found that the federal department spent $7 million on travel last year. And they actually had it broken down by, flights and per diem travel and domestic and international and those sorts of things. And we calculated that if they were to eliminate their international travel, it would have funded about 6 months of the White House tours, which were really kind of the most famous victim of the so-called sequestration cuts. And so, to me, it's a good example of how there is plenty of money flying around in Washington and in school districts around the country. What it comes down to is how it's being spent, and we see time and time again that it's being misspent.
Absolutely. Now, one of the questions I had even before I came to that part of this news release that you sent me was why? Why do they have to go on international travel per se as much as they do and spend as much as they have on that segment of the sequester? Why so much on international travel?
That's a good question. What we asked for was a line-by-line breakdown of the travel so we could see where people were traveling, what hotels they were staying at, what airlines they were flying, and those sorts of things. And they actually told us that they don't have that type of database. And they actually suggested that we as an organization lobby Congress for additional funding for the Federal Department of Education to get a better database. And here's an organization that is, or a department that is spending over $60 billion a year, and yet they somehow don't have enough money to be able to track or categorize where the dollars are going in terms of travel. But see, to me, that just shows it's a bureaucracy that is out of control, and it's just one. And that's why I think people get so frustrated with Washington and their state capitals, because we just keep seeing government spending go up each year, and that was the thing with the sequestration. They were talking about these so-called cuts, and yet the actual amount of money being spent was actually increasing. And so that's the frustration I think a lot of people have with government, and the fact that that is the reaction that people like us get, that we need to help government get more money so they can, comply with our requests.
Kyle, why can't other people, other news organizations, other people in the media obtain the information that you have and lay it out in front of the American public so they can sit back and say, wait a minute, we have been lied to, we've been absolutely misled by Obama's administration and especially Arnie Duncan and the Education Department. Look at the money that they've wasted. Why can't the American public become more aware? What's going on here?
Well, because I think the mainstream media doesn't care. They don't think very deep. They don't research very deep. And there's this collective, mindset, I think, that we see in the media. And so that's why I think you don't see that sort of thinking being applied to these sorts of issues. But the other thing too, I was reading a blog. We're looking at school spending in New Jersey and New York right now, and looking at several different districts around those two states, and then releasing our information. And I was reading a teacher's blog the other day, and he was really going after the media. And now his perspective is very different from ours, but his point was that the education reporters especially, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to say anything critical about the school districts or about the administrators or the other people involved in the system, because what will happen is their exclusives will be cut off, or their easy access to information will be eliminated. And so they don't want to do anything that will put those school districts in a negative light. And so I think that is that's an attitude that is pervasive. But I think also that there's an attitude, they have bought into this idea that we just need to spend more money, or we're not spending enough money. Or people are just trying to make money off the system and that sort of thing. And so, I wish the media would do more of what we do, but at this point, they're not really doing that.
And that's a shame, because I'm sitting here as a member of the media, and I'm ashamed for my cohorts in this industry, because what this kind of a story tells me is that they're cowards. They don't have the responsibility to do their job as journalists and tell the news to the American public. They're more afraid of what it's going to do to take the money out of their pockets. They're basic cowards.
Sure. I mean, you look at our Newark, New Jersey spending report, and we found that Newark Public Schools, which spends $26,000 per student, and yet has huge student proficiency problems, huge dropout rates. It's a system that is broken. We found that school district paid over $900,000 to a community group that is directly linked to Louis Farrakhan.
Oh my!
And we figured, wow, that's a big story. And especially the local media just looked the other way. And again, I don't know if it's because they don't want to offend that group or offend the school district that they would call them out on that. But it's that sort of thing that is, people need to know that's where their dollars are going. Some people may say, hey, that's a good thing. But I think a lot of people just simply don't know. And that's why we're trying to do what we're trying to do. We're a staff of 6 people looking at, issues all over the country. But I think we bring a unique perspective to it, and we get people to think in a different way.
Absolutely.
Sometimes we can get the media to think in a different way. But certainly we want to try and arm activists with research and information to have these conversations about what's going on in schools with their family and friends.
Kyle, I don't mean to spring an issue on you without forewarning you, but I think as well-versed as you are, you'll be able to take this in stride. I've been following this story out of California for quite some time, and I am very, very afraid of the sinister effects of the California's law, which is going to take effect January 1st, that's going to require all schools receiving state funds to let children choose between boys or girls' bathrooms and participate in sex-segregated sports teams based on their gender identity rather than their biological sex. I'm appalled as a parent and as a grandfather that the United States, this country, has sunk to this new low. This is pathetic.
Right. Yeah, to me it's activists in schools who are pushing their own personal agenda to rewrite social norms. I mean, that's what's happening. And so this is the sort of environment that kids are facing on a daily basis. And that's why, I think parents have got to be vigilant in addressing these issues. being at the forefront of these issues, but also, frankly, looking at their options and looking at their choices and saying, you know what, if that's the sort of system that the government wants to promote and further, then that's not what I want for my children, and I'm going to go somewhere else. And I think that's to some degree why we're seeing expansion of school choice in places like Wisconsin and Indiana, and allowing the dollars to follow the child. That's something that I personally am a huge proponent of. I feel like taxpayers, property taxpayers and sales taxpayers, they're paying for the system, and they should put those dollars to work for the children and not to perpetuate the system just for the sake of it. And so I think that's something that definitely needs to happen. But you're right, parents need to be aware of this and take action if they don't like what's going on.
This is utter chaos. I mean, this is utter chaos that some kind of a absolutely stupid, frivolous lawmaker in California, Assemblyman Tom Amiano of San Francisco, and I guess that figures, would come up with something as saying this is an important victory for the rights of transgender people, and it's going to help children express their true identities. If I were a parent, I wouldn't wait 5 minutes. I'd be in the face of that superintendent and that principal, and if I didn't get the answers that I wanted, I'd have that child out of school in 5 minutes. I do not know why we're turning our school system into a cesspool.
Well, frankly, I don't know why people live in California. I mean, I know some people that do live there. But when you look at what they're doing with taxes and this sort of policy and the iron grip that Democrats and unions have on the halls of power, I don't know why a business owner, a conservative, why anybody would live there. I mean, there's so many other. There's Idaho, there's Texas, there's so many other places to go to enjoy life than to have to deal with such moronic nonsense. But that's what a lot of people are choosing to do. But I think too, when and this maybe is a good example for Common Core. States are different. States are wildly different. I mean, you contrast California with Texas in terms of fiscal policy, in terms of tax code, in terms of just the culture, the appreciation for freedom and liberty and independence. I mean, people should be able to go and live where they want to live and enjoy that sort of thing. But to bring up Common Core, I think that's one of the big problems with Common Core, is that Common Core is standardizing the education system. And it just is putting us in not a good place. And to me, it's the wrong direction. I was, this past weekend, I was in New York, and I did a segment with Mike Huckabee for his show, which will be on this weekend. Mm-hmm. And he and I went at it about Common Core because he's a proponent. And he was trying to, and I brought up the data mining aspect of it, which you and I have talked about before. And he was trying to separate those things. And I said, he was trying to separate, make the claim that the standards are separate from the data mining, which technically is true, but the problem is it all goes together. And so it's that sort of issue that I think is putting America in the wrong direction, and it's going to make our schools worse instead of better. And that's why I think parents really need to look at their options, see what other schools that are in their community, online schooling, homeschooling, look at all of those options before you make an educational choice.
I'm a little bit surprised that you would say that Huckabee was taking the stance for Common Core. I mean, I am taken aback by that because I thought sure that you would say he has looked at the program, he's looked at the criteria, and decided that he's against it. I am shocked by that.
Yeah. Well, I think the way he was talking was that this was an idea by governors, 6 or 7 years ago, whenever he was governor, and the intent was to have higher standards. But what I don't think he quite fully appreciated was the extent to which the federal government has co-opted it and corrupted it. And that's what I was trying to impress on him, because he was trying to claim that the data was separate and everything. And I said, no, that's what holds it all together. This is all one package, and you can't just eliminate one piece and just keep everything else. It doesn't work that way. And so towards the end of it, he was saying, well, the governors need to take it back. And so he was at least acknowledging my point that this has become corrupted. And I said, yeah, governors have got to take it back, and because education is a state and local issue, and the federal government and the Obama administration has tried to co-opt it, and they have successfully done that.
When is that going to air so that my audience can tune in on Fox?
Sure, it will be Saturday and Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock Eastern. So I assume that would be
6 o'clock Idaho time.
6 o'clock your time.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, 6 o'clock. I'm going to be sure and tune into that. And I have one other question for you, and it regards a story that I got from the Daily Caller. Todd Starnes had written about a Tennessee mom and her daughter, and the school had an assignment to write about someone that the child idolized, and this young girl wrote about God, and it was thrown out by the teacher, and the student was told to write about something else. This sounds like complete liberal censorship in our schools and the trashing of God and its principles. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, that story, the school district ended up apologizing, but to me the damage was done.
Right.
And it was an overreaction. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the separation of church and state.
Right.
I think that's what it came down to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that separation of church and state is very clear. But what has happened is the activists and their fellow travelers, so the people who, they don't want to cause any controversy, so they just go along with the activists, came out and said that, that you can't talk about God. What was not happening in this situation was the school district was not out and proclaiming, one particular religion or something like that. It was simply a student's assignment. And to me, this is how far the pendulum has swung in the way of completely eliminating God from the public square. And so it's gone so far now that a student can't even write about it and voice an opinion or write about something that they appreciate. This is how far it has swung, to the point where some teachers don't even understand, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the only reason we know about this is because the parents spoke up. And that is what I constantly implore parents to do, is if you're in this sort of situation where something similar comes up and this sort of thing happens, you as a parent have got to stand up, and you call the newspaper, you call the school board, you call the talk radio show, but you have to bring awareness and get the activists and the bureaucrats to step down.
Yeah, but you said it.
Stand down, I should say. Stand down.
You said it very succinctly just a moment ago. This 10-year-old girl, by what happened in the school system with this teacher basically throwing her assignment out, that girl is always, I think, at this very formative age, going to be struck with the idea that if she talks about God or writes about God, it's wrong. And I think they've inserted a thought in her mind that's never going to go away. I think this is insidious, what happened.
I agree. And that's why parents have got to do something about it and not allow it to, not just sit back and let it happen. But you've got to call them out. You have to embarrass the people that do it and make sure that they never do it again. And then I think, too, you've got to talk with your kids about, why that was wrong and why what the student wanted to write about was perfectly acceptable.
Absolutely.
And that's to me, those are the action steps that parents should take.
Absolutely. You are the best at what you do. Kyle Olson with EAGnews.org. Thank you so much for filling in, and we'll look forward to having you back in the future, Kyle. Thanks again.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you much. Wow, that man knows all about what's going on in education across the United States. I have a lot of respect for what he and his staff have compiled, and be sure and tune in and watch him on Huckabee on Fox News this weekend. Our time, 6 p.m., if it's 8 o'clock Eastern. Oh, we got to have a weather update right now. It's time for a weather update with Michael Rogers Weather, and this hour it's brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, or heat pumps, and of course that's through Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Here's Michael.
Hello, everybody. Michael Rogers for Michael Rogers Weather. For the Magic Valley, possibly might not see anything as far as rain or thunderstorm, but I think you might see something later on this evening. The cold front should be hitting the area somewhere between 8 and 10 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, look for a mostly sunny day with temperatures in the low 80s, 81. The wind's going to be out of the northwest at about 8 to 10 miles an hour. Cloudy tonight with a low around 49. Otherwise, be advised, there is a cold front pulling through the Magic Valley of south central Idaho. The most you could possibly get out of it will be some gusty winds. I would not be surprised if you did get a thunderstorm also. So have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It is the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems through Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, 678-0459. Oh, my, let's take a quick look here. What else have I got to remind you of? I got to Gina, get on the phone here real quick with me. I got to tell you something that happened. Weirdest thing ever that's happened to me for a long, long time.
Okay.
Yesterday, not one, but two of my college buddies from 43 years ago called me to see how I was doing. Haven't heard from them in 43 years.
Well, why? I mean, just to say hey?
No, I tell you, the one, Kenny Mesher back in Ohio, was compiling a list of all the people that had gone to college with him and everything, and they were trying to put together, how they could research and find out what people are doing.
Okay.
And then he got a hold of another guy that used to be from North Dakota, Ed Baser, and as the story shortening it up here because of a lack of time, Ed called me yesterday, Kenny called me yesterday. I haven't talked to them since I left the fraternity house in 1969.
So it was basically reconnecting with some good old friends.
Yeah. And I don't know at our old age if we could ever reconnect the way we were connected on certain parties at the old house years ago, but it would be fun to try.
It's always nice to touch base with those who, impacted your life, at any point in time. And so every once in a while I'll dig through my phone book and try and get a hold of people just to say, hey, you crossed my mind, and so I just wanted to chit-chat with you for a little bit.
Well, I got their emails, and I got their addresses and everything, and we're going to try to arrange kind of a reciprocity of where we can get together and kind of renew old stories and everything, many of which are not going to go on the radio.
Come on.
Are you kidding?
That'd be a great story.
No, it wouldn't be. It might be temporarily. But I thought that was really something yesterday after 43 years. Man, I really enjoyed that.
I bet. And it's always, every once in a while I'll have somebody from my past, pop up and say, hey, how you been? Haven't talked to you in a while. And it's always just, it's refreshing to know that, people still think about it.
Absolutely.
Nicely, anyway.
But two in the same day, that was really weird.
Was it really weird?
Yeah.
Did it give you a sense of mortality?
Let's not go there.
Okay. Just asking.
Okay. Hey, don't forget the big tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations have all the tires for all your driving needs. I am not kidding you. Passenger car tires, like they've got a passenger car tire starting at just $39.99. What? Yes, low-cost, all-season design, excellent tire. And, of course, check out all the tires for your pickups and SUVs like the Wildcat AT2. All the tires. And, of course, they've got many, many of those custom wheels on sale. Dress up your four-wheeled wonder and really make it look good. And don't forget, too, the best in brake service and shocks and struts and front-end alignments and batteries. It's all there with Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Well, we're going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today. We've made all the people mad that we can make mad in 3 hours, and we'll be back again tomorrow morning. Who we got? Tomorrow Doug Johnson, and then we've got Dan Kish with the Institute of Energy Research, and Kelton Hatch is going to be on with the Idaho Fish and Game. All kinds of goodies tomorrow, and we'll start at 8:06. The way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. Have a great day.